I can't
While
hear
we're
you. We can't hear
waiting,
you, Karen.
while we're waiting, can I just put in a plug for Full Lives?
Yeah,
Tomorrow
it's
is the
on the
deadline.
agenda.
Yeah. Oh, it is already. Okay. Tomorrow's the
Yeah,
deadline, guys, not today. I'm sorry for those. I told you it was today. But you can do it today. It's just deadlines tomorrow.
yeah.
Not quite sure why I got bumped off there,
It was
but
so random. Yeah.
hopefully you caught my last parting thought, which is renewals are going to be pared down to just the relevant information for that renewal. Anything else that we kind of need to check in on this particular piece of Harmony? So that takes us to the other big news with Harmony, and that's regarding the short form itself. So you received an alert yesterday with a July 1st time frame. So first, let's acknowledge this hits July 1st. And you all, being the awesome care coordinators that you are starting your planning team meetings. You're starting to scope that out for the plans that are coming up in July. That's pretty typical. So we needed to let you know this as soon as possible. What's changed about short form? From after July 1st, you'll have to have a full initial or renewal support plan in the system to be able to use a short form renewal. So if you've already done that, if you've completed a full amendment and you have that in the system, it may be best, even if you don't have any changes, to submit that plan in a full status so that you can use the short form on the next cycle. Maybe you've already completed a full plan and you've already done a short form and you're already on your second short form process, then that information doesn't really impact you. The big takeaway here is that once you have your short form, like you can start using the short form, you can only use it 2 years in a row. The third year, you'll have to do a full renewal. You'll also have to do a renewal whenever acuity is involved, specialized private duty nursing, intensive active treatment, or if your previous plan renewal authorized services over a regulatory limit. So you as a planning team asked for more than what's regulatorily established, received it, that will require a full renewal. Clear, clear as mud, hopefully. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts on that particular breaking news item?
Nothing.
I can see you're all taking it in. That is okay. You can always ask us questions, drop into our care coordination support hour if you're just not sure if you can use the short form. We don't want you to fight with it. Just come ask and we'll look at the case with you and make sure it's okay to do that. I am going to bring back up our agenda item. I did also want to just let you know that the YouTube channel has a updated short form instruction, which includes the components of documenting just within the short form itself, how you would document changes that are allowed to happen on a short form. How would you document those? Really, the biggest thing that you're establishing is that if things changed, why is it okay for the person to have the same level of supports? That's really what you're trying to clarify. Like if something changed for somebody, their health status, natural supports, something changed. Why is the short form effective? Why do we need to keep supports the same level? That's really the driving question of the short form. So keep that in mind when you process through it. But the video is the step by steps and covers all of the dynamics of the short form. So that takes us, let me reshare my screen back to our agenda to the 2024 Care Coordination Guide. Kara, did you want to talk about that? You've been working on that resource for us.
It's a new version of the guide, and it's been updated to include new regulations. It's not doesn't contain practices for harmony. That's a different guide, but it is a good resource for you. We're working on it. We're working on having it ready to be posted to our website. And for documents to be posted on the website, they have to pass all of the Section 508 checks, which is just ADA compliance checks with, electronic materials. But once we get through that, we'll request it to be posted. In the meantime, if people need a new copy, I'm happy to email you one. You could just shoot us an email at sdstraining@alaska.gov and we'll send you one. And we also have them posted in our learning management system. And you can, if you're going to take certification or recertif, or if you're going to take training, meaning beginning care coordination or renewal care coordination training, you'll get one through that process right out of the LMS, out of our SDS Training Academy. So yeah, it's always a work in progress. It takes quite a while to update it this time for sure, and we're excited to welcome new changes as we go along here throughout the year. So we'll probably have new versions of it as we go, but there is something for you now and or soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Kara. So lots of regulation packages are in the works to change. Many, many, many of them. There was quite a bit of stakeholder engagement in December. SDS is taking those that stakeholder engagement and has been developing regulation package changes. Those regulation packages are about to be systematically out for public comment. You can track those changes through the online public notices system. I'm going to go ahead and click the link here and I'm going to allow that we're going to check it out. And bring it over here. This is what this system looks like. It is not always the easiest to navigate. That is okay. You will also be notified of any regulation change packages by e-alert as well. Why would you want to use this system? Remember that SDS is the in-between for DPA and Department of Healthcare Services. If there are changes in either of those divisions and they have reg changes, you may not receive updates through e-alerts through SDS about those changes. So could be clever, could be smart to keep track of those kind of changes, checking this website periodically and networking with your colleagues on these different changes so that you can participate in the process. Anything to add, team, about this or from you all? Because, if you have anything that you'd like to share, thoughts on how to stay informed, please feel free to let us know.
Everyone's clicking and looking for it now with the light.
That's okay. These pauses are normal and if not like a little bit awkward, it's okay. It's just part of how we engage in this new way of communicating and through Zoom platforms. Okay, well, that covers that particular piece. Next up on deck, we have the LMS or the Training Academy and upcoming trainings. Kara, did you want to touch base or Kat or Cassandra? Sorry, Kat, you're like, what? Cassandra,
I'm fine. The link to our academy is on the bottom of the agenda. So if you haven't been in there, register and make sure you um, check it out. There's new trainings added all the time. We don't always email when there's new things added. So sometimes we will surprise you and just put a training or two in there, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, look at that." So make sure to check. I don't want to say weekly, but like every month or so, maybe check and see what's in there.
We just we just upgraded our beginning care coordinator series in it. And it's, for a while, well, way back in the day, we were doing some live classes, whether they were with, live streaming over Zoom or similar, um, or in person. So we went with, um, then COVID happened and a couple of years went by. And so now, since we've had our learning management system, we have a better resource to create asynchronous class options for people. So we have a new series in there that is part of beginning care coordination. It's about a third of it. So we were using self-study of the book for the soul engagement with the material, but now we have online classes that pull out pieces of the book and provide explanation and an opportunity to engage with the content. And we'll continue to add to that. And this is what Kat was talking about. We'll continue to add to it. And we made it so that when you complete these different courses, you get a badge, right? So at the end of your training, after you take the test, you get a certificate, right? Pretty much everybody here knows that. So now, if you have a beginning care coordinator, we're working on renewal. We're working on changing it up a little bit so that folks who are, current care coordinators can have new content that they can access in there too. But we're starting with beginning. About a third of the compliance with the bucket of training that forms beginning care coordination is now online engagement with classes. So they go in and they take classes and they earn a badge for everyone. And then when we check their badges to see that they've finished those, then we can email them the test by request. And the rest of the content, they would have to go with the old fashioned, you know, our training guidebook. So that's where we're at right now. It takes quite a long time to, build the courses. We're trying to use our LMS to the best of its ability. We learn a lot along the way. But we're pretty excited. We have a class series that is um, beginning care coordination that includes things like person-centered care coordination as its own course, and other ones. Let me grab the document so maybe I can read them off and not forget them as I'm thinking about them. But it's exciting, and we're happy to grow and change and use our learning management system as a way to engage. And we also want to keep it a standard where folks come to us through our office hours as part of their learning. So that is also part of it. It's not that they'll just self-study without any engagement. They'll have plenty of opportunities to engage with us and learn to use our resource for coaching for real life scenarios that they may face as a new care coordinator. But I'm looking at my list. When you get into our LMS, if you're brand new, you can do critical incident reporting, home and community-based settings, mandatory reporting. What is a waiver? A class called What is a Waiver? A class called Becoming a Care Coordinator for the Waiver and CFC option. Another one called Person-Centered Care Coordination. And then after that, you would review the self-paced study guide and then request the exam. So like I said, that's just where we are right now. And we're going to keep on growing and building that. So if you email us about somebody new, or if you're new or you have somebody new join you, you'll probably get an email from me or a teammate that has that list of things that you have to do as a newbie. But just stay tuned for new things for our more experienced care coordinators to grab onto and engage with in the LMS, and hybrid things too. Some things will be in I would say live time over Zoom. We're always happy to process with you Sometimes people request in-person trainings too, which is available by request. So we're growing and changing. That's all for now. Thanks.
So we're asking that you be patient with us through this process, and we know that when you're bringing in new care coordinators, you want to get them in fast, but we also want them to understand the materials that we are putting before them so that they can know it, and so when they go to certification, they can understand the things that certification is asking of them, and when they go out to help the people that you serve, that they'll be able to better be equipped to help them as well. So we know you want to push your care coordinators right along to get in there and get started, but do know that the training process do take a little time. So we kind of look at when we see a care coordinator finishing and starting, like getting all of this stuff done in 1 week, is we kind of look at that in a different way. So please make sure you give them time to digest some of this material and be able to move on to the exam. Okay. We appreciate all of y'all help with all of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. All right, sorry about that, popping up the wrong window. So with that in mind, that takes us to our plug again for the leadership education in neurodevelopment and disabilities. This is a fellowship that's through the Center for Human Development at UAA. We do have a couple of LEND alumni and faculty on this call. If any of you wish to share your LEND experience or why you what you gained from that process, you're welcome to chime in. As I mentioned before, I'm currently going through the LEND fellowship process, and I must say that it has been a really it's really stretched my understanding of the term interdisciplinary. We often have our own wheelhouse, our own silo, so to speak, and it's very refreshing to be in a collective group of experts that within the field, ranging from special education and occupational therapy, early childhood intervention, all the way to care coordinators. We do have care coordination as one of our expertise, and of course, our individuals that are self-advocates and have lived experience as their own discipline. I would highly encourage you all to explore what that LEND Fellowship link has for you, and would encourage you all to reach out to any of the LEND fellows that are currently going through the process or are faculty. And I can see some of you, Erin's dropping in that she had a great experience. Please feel free to chat in that if you've completed the fellowship process, so that your peers can know that they have experts in the field that they can chat with about it, to learn more about what the program entails and what can be gained from it. Anyone want to jump in and share their LEND experience or what they've gained from that?
And I know you're working on a project, right? Because that is one of the things that you're working on now, on a project. And Stephanie just said that care coordinators can reach out to her about LEND. I know we have Kelly here too, and I know Kelly's involved with LEND. So when is the deadline? April?
Yes. Yeah. And you know people who've done it, so feel free to ask. So what's a description of the program? It's essentially a master's course in Alaska's disability field. Really is the best way I can sum it up, from all stages, really in focusing on child and maternal health, but it is essentially the best training you could ever receive on Alaska's specific disability field and the professionals that are movers and shakers in it, from self-advocates to the doctors that perform our assessments and to our special education experts. And it is just a really robust and vigorous course. If you're thinking about going back to school for a master's degree, this is an excellent way to test that for yourself. If you're going about this as a long-term fellow, it's a 300 credit hour experience that has a variety of different zones of time that you should be spending, from clinical field work to leadership exercises and lecture time. I'm looking to Kelly and Kara if I forgot anything in particular, if that sums it up. But please check it out. And the application, let me see, drag it over here. This is where that link will redirect you to. But I do have a physical copy, April 12th. April 12th. So we can make sure that you get a PDF version of that recruitment flyer. So take the time to explore and think about if you want to, and if you don't have time to do it this year for whatever reason, keep it in the back of your mind for next year, because time sure moves quick and suddenly they're at recruitment again. So please reach out. That is what we had for Lend. And then our last section of today's agenda, number 6, is about full lives. And the theme this year is inclusion lives here. Do any of my teammates want to jump in on some of the big pieces of full lives that folks need to know about?
I'm just excited that it's fully in person. I know some people are not, but it is fully in person. I'm excited to see whoever comes and whoever attends. And I'm looking forward to some of the presentations that I'm kind of hearing about. Maybe will happen. I don't know. I'm not a part of the committee, so this is like a surprise until the agenda comes out, but I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Agenda's not set yet, but they do have Johnny Crowder, the keynote. So there'll be some exciting things going on and different people attending, and lots of course, because we're with SDS, we get a lot of like, I want to go, I want to go. So, like, staff is excited to go. There's leadership out of Department of Health leadership excited to go. So I think it's going to be super duper. I know folks might be thinking about our renewing care coordinators at 2 years or more of care coordination may be wanting to use the engagement with full lives as training, renewal training, which we'll offer it. It won't be quite as complicated just because it doesn't have an online option, which is, I've heard yay and I've heard nay about that too. But we'll be developing that. You'll get a certificate of attendance from the Full Lives folks. That is not a certificate of CEH. That's just an attendance from them. So you'll need to sign up with us for a CEH certificate where you'll get 16 hours CEH, and you'll need to sign up with us. And this is all going to happen through the academy. 2 times you'll sign up with us for the CEH one if you want credit for CEH for attending. And then you'll sign up with us for the renewal training one, which is you'll do some online engagement and some simple writing online about full lives and about your findings and how you're going to apply it, to your practice. And then you'll get a certificate of renewal care coordination training. So you'll be looking for 2 separate certificates. One of them for CEH if you want that, and another one for renewal training credit if you want that. They're the same conference for either one, of course. So they're sort of the same, but they're not. CEH is for going there. Renewal training is for doing a course with us based on full lives. So look for that. We'll hopefully we'll have lots of care coordinators who are at 2 years or more come to this super fabulous fun conference now in its 23rd year. So it's as professional as ever, and we're really excited to support it as we have been for many years now, to collaborate, to present. Yours truly will be the MC. So I'm picking out my outfits. What can I say?
And it's a new location.
Yes,
Right.
it's at the
It's at
Sheraton.
Sheraton, at the Sheraton. And for the care coordinators, if you want credit so that you can do the assignment for Full Lives, we're asking that you please come over to the SDS table and do a sign-in sheet for us so that if you want credit to do the assignment. I'm going to say that again. If you want credit so that you can get the information for the assignment, we're asking that you come over to the table and sign in with us. If you don't want credit, don't come to the table. If you don't, it's not a big deal. But if you want credit, please come and sign up to let us know you're there at the table so that we can get you prepared for your assignment. And if you don't, we will not be passing you out the assignment. Okay? Thank you. And someone said, yes, they will sign in both days. Absolutely. Sign in both days so that we can know to get you the assignment. I said it like 5 times. So thank you.
So what you're saying is sign in at the table, Cassandra, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. If you want the assignment. So for your renewal.
It's because we
And
want to
there's a
make sure
question
that you're
about
there in
attending,
person.
right?
Sorry.
And there's a question about attending virtually, and there is no option
There
to
is
do
no
it virtually.
option for virtual this year. We're sorry.
And I am frantically trying to grab the registration link to try to be ever so helpful. So I did grab one. And it looks like it's a 2-part registration process. So I can copy that in. I did want to acknowledge a couple of logistical pieces for folks about the hotel space in particular. And we do have some committee members here. So please, Mary and Susie, please jump in if you have any additional thoughts. But some of the questions that came up from the committee is like, what about parking? There's ample parking at the Sheraton. There's a parking garage and there's parking on the park strip. The Sheraton is described as a restaurant desert, so to speak. Like it's difficult to get food there, but the conference is set up so that you can do a buffet for lunch at the Sheraton. They have like lunch box lunches that you can buy. You can do DoorDash or you can be adventurous and go forth and have lunch on your own wherever you wish. So there are food options available. Yeah, if so, and Mary's dropping in stuff on like hotel links. You should register as soon as possible so that you can do that and get the connection, the code to be able to get a discount, so to speak, on that hotel if you're traveling. And, even if you're just being in the valley and wanting to just not have to commute back on that same day, because some of the content that we cover want to stay in town, consider it. Anything else that we can add for folks?
If you have any questions, please send us an email so that we can respond to your questions.
So I guess the biggest takeaway I can give you about Full Lives, it's a 2-step process. You can either get 16 CEHs by just go, and we will get your registration information from them, and we will make sure you get credit for your 16 CEHs. So you don't have to do anything for the 16 other than pay for the conference, okay? If you want to use this as a renewal training, you're gonna have to come see us at the table in the ballroom, Okay. So that's the biggest piece. But that is it that we have for you. We have 15 minutes left. As always, we have your resources, reminders about the individual and family quarterly meeting, info share series, our all providers info share series, and then additional resources for you as a care coordinator. So much of your work is finding the right resource. So any way we can help you with that, let us know. Kat.
I just dropped the agenda and the guide into the chat for those who may have joined later because I didn't send you the password. So that's on me. And quick plug-in for the office hours. We do have the family individual office hours. So we had one of those sessions yesterday. This is only the second one, and nobody came. We were very lonely. So I am adding the flyer in the chat and I'll email it out to everybody. So if you have families who may be interested in joining, who have questions, who want to talk, or just really anybody out there who may want to talk to us, let them know this is an option. It's on Zoom. It's every first and third Monday of the month. And it's like 12 to 1, so during lunchtime. So I did share that as a resource for everyone. We've had 2 sessions so far and no attendance yet. We realize it takes some time for people to know this isn't available to them, but just letting you know.
Thank you for that. So Heather put in the chat that Harmony has been finicky. It has been rather difficult, and there are a couple of things in play here. And not all of them are within anyone's sphere of influence. What am I talking about? Actually, the weather. The weather is impacting the internet, which is, I'm not even a little bit kidding. Because Harmony has such data like exchange going on, it's such a complex system. If the internet is at all degraded because of a windstorm, because it's too cold, because somebody cut a fiber optic, it's going to struggle. That being said, there is a routine maintenance window that does occur every Sunday. And so that is something that has been routinely impacting care coordinators. We can't change that. It is something that WellSky, the Harmony proprietary operator, the fancy name of calling them the contractor, needs. They need that time where they work through the system and fix it and maintain it. That is something that routinely occurs. And Kat, I'm sorry, do you remember the exact hours?
I'm looking for it, but it's like during the day. I want to say
Right.
for a better part of the day, like 2 to 6 or something, and I'll or 2 to 8. I think somebody put in the chat.
And also,
It's a long time. It's most of the day,
and
and I'll
also the
include that
state
again.
of Alaska does updates on Sundays. So we got 2 things that's going that can interfere with your services coming through us on Sundays.
There is nothing that I know of about Fridays, although I heard a couple of things about this last Friday. I haven't heard, I want to say it was 2 or 3 care coordinators who said they added things in that kind of disappeared. So I'm waiting to hear back from Harmony Health about that, and maybe they're aware of what happened. But like Delight said, weather has been interesting and there's been a lot going on, and a lot impacts Harmony, unfortunately.
Please do connect with us if you're having those issues at the time that you're encountering them. Email DSDS Harmony Help, because if there is something going on, it helps to capture the time frame, what's happening, what's going on. If it's something system-wide, we can look at it. But there are cases where it is specific to your location or even your specific connection, because there can be disruptions to your internet, or there's also just, there can be impacts to your specific connectivity. we've had situations happen where a Wi-Fi modem wasn't upgraded. It was like an older Wi-Fi modem, and it made it impossible for the individual to use Harmony. And they did all the speed checks and took all these actions and tried to figure out what was wrong with it. And it was a hardware issue and in the person's home. So please connect with us if you're having a lot of issues with it. There are things though that just we may not be able to control, but sometimes there is. So hopefully that gives some context. I'm sorry that we don't have a solution because it is very understandable to be frustrated when you need to get your work in. Anything else? So overall, many are concluding that Friday evenings are rough. Just going to put it out there, and this was true during the pandemic. There are certain zones of time when everybody in Alaska is using the internet and not being silly, super serious. If all of Alaska is streaming television at the same time, it collectively impacts our network. So I can definitely see how you might start seeing peak hour usage issues at certain times. Is that always the case? Hard to say. So when in doubt and when frustrated, please reach out. Other thoughts, topics, concerns with our last 10 minutes of the day?
Delight, Abby had a question in the chat. Are there any updates on adult host homes?
Thank you for bringing that up. We are deep in that process of navigating the regulatory process of developing regulations and building that with the connections to CMS, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare. So we don't have a specific update for you at this time. You will be connected in, and I'm going to try to find her question. You'll be updated when we have the reg package ready for review.
Any, like, I know this is ballpark, but time frame, like 6 months, a year? I've got a family really stoked on the idea.
Okay, first I want to say yay for that family. Thank you for getting families excited about the potential for setting up providership. I honestly don't have a very solid time frame. 6 months is 6 months is reasonable at this time to put it out there as ballpark, but I really don't have more that I can offer because there's a lot of factors that go into the regulatory process. And we're really at like stage 2 of like 6. So sometimes they move fast and sometimes they move slow. Valerie, what questions do you have about distance delivery and consent for distance delivery? And we don't have a specific time frame for the website's update. It is a very expansive website, and it is going to require expansive updates. Kat, though, is your best resource to let know when things are missing because she'll be able to track it down. I can help
Like
too.
if you need a form, that's the biggest thing. If you need a form, let me know. We can get the forms. Because some of the links work and some of them don't, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It's a hit or miss, but we're working on it and making it more user friendly. It's a big website.
Will there be in-person assessments for levels of care in Fairbanks starting soon? We're at the end of the PHE in July, we will be returning to in-person assessments. So that is a solid time frame where you can start expecting those, is when we have the PHE ending fully. So that is slated for June 30th, and we can expect all the flexibilities what were in place to be stopped on July 1st.
Delight, can I add to that?
Yeah.
So for the Fairbanks area and rural areas, if an in-person assessment is needed, you can request that of the assessment unit, but you do need to show justification.
Yes, thank you for adding that. Other thoughts, questions? Well, as always, thank you for spending an hour of time with us. We know you're very busy people, so we just want to express our gratitude for you and being a partner with you and supporting Alaskans. Please reach out if you need anything from us, and we can wrap up and give you 5 minutes of your time back. So until next time.